What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Top 5 Podcast, a show where every week we choose a topic and give you a top 5 ranking. I'm your host, Ron McNerney, and joined with me today are my best friends, Zach Blanner,
What's up, guys?
Colin Harding.
I was trying to come up with something clever, but I didn't.
You're fine, and Matt Bush.
Imagine not being able to be clever.
I try to just do it like, spur of the moment. As soon as Ron says it, I try to come up with it, work on that improv in a few seconds, but it wasn't happening.
Are you trying to get into the improv club at Southside? Or not Southside, Waterfront?
I'm trying to get into the improv club that is in downtown New York. It has 5 members.
Gotcha.
Very closed.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today's episode is all about our top 5 video game missions. These missions can either be quest lines, main story missions, or side missions, whatever we prefer, and whatever sticks out to us the most when we think about our favorites. Starting off this episode is Colin. Think of something clever, Colin, on the spot.
So my preface, like I always do, is I actually don't think I really have one, especially since this was a topic that I thought about. Like I came up with the topic, so I don't really have a preface for this. But I do for my honorables, so that is my preface. So my number 5 is Fontaine from BioShock 1.
Ooh. Good pick.
The entirety of the mission is really good, and since this game is old, I'm going to kind of talk about it a little bit. Basically, like, there's this guy, Frank Fontaine, who wasn't Frank Fontaine. I forget what his original name was. It was like Gianni or started with a G. That's all I remember. And he basically like was this mob boss, and he knew the feds were coming after him, and he heard of Andrew Ryan, who created an underwater quote unquote utopia. And that's where he was going to flee to. So eventually it got to a point where um he met up with another guy who was investigating them and killed him, took his name of Frank Fontaine. So that's how he turned into Frank Fontaine. Then he went to that underwater utopia, and story events unravel. In BioShock 2, they kind of cover more of how he became the character Atlas. And basically at the end, Andrew Ryan brings up the fact that he has the famous monologue that a lot of people really like to quote in video games, which is, a man or a slave, I think is what most people reference it as. And he brings up the fact of a man chooses, a slave obeys. And then he says the phrase, "Would you kindly?" And all of a sudden they go through all the flashbacks of every time Atlas told you, "Would you kindly?" which was every time he put you on a mission or told you to do something, he would say, "Would you kindly?" And that opens up this revelation that you were in a sense, like a sleeper for Atlas, who not only did all the terrible things that he did down in Rapture, but also brought down the plane at the beginning of the story. So at the beginning of the story, they also do a flashback to where instead of you smoking a cigarette, you pull out a gun, and it's like this huge twist. And just kind of like seeing the twist and seeing like how everything unravels with Fontaine, Atlas, Andrew Ryan, and Jack, who's the main character who you play as. And I think just making the main character mute for the entire game, while it might have been just because it technically was a role-playing game in a way, almost feels like it was stylistic because it makes him feel even more like a slave, and like he's that sleeper agent that came there for uh um uh, for Atlas for uh, Frank Fontaine,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the whole ending is just a very good ending because you get to see all of like how the mind control happens and like blah 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 blah, and then you finally go up and you meet Atlas or Frank Fontaine and you have your final battle. And then the BioShock series was always famous for like the alternate endings based on whether or not you were this bad or this good or ultra good or ultra bad or the most neutral person in the world, which I thought was cool. I don't remember which canon ending, what ending was canon is how I should put that. But I really enjoyed that mission. That mission was really good.
Yeah, I think Bioshock 1 is. I don't know if it's my favorite or if Infinite is, but I know number 2 was okay for me, to be honest. But yeah.
I
I think
really like two. I really
number
liked it.
2 was my first BioShock because I remember it came out just a little bit before I had my appendix out. So I got to play BioShock 2 for a while just sitting at home. But if I think about it, BioShock 2 kind of felt like it kind of felt like you were hunting the mysteries of what happened in BioShock 1. So you were almost like walking through like it's almost like if there was a game before Fallout that was just people like the war between China and stuff, and then Fallout came out and it was like here's all of the after effects of that campaign in a way. And that's kind of what BioShock 2 felt to me. I really enjoyed BioShock 2. I honestly, I know a lot of people like Infinite, but I think Infinite was my least favorite and I don't know why.
It
Not saying it
deviates
wasn't
a
good.
lot, and there's only really one ending to it too, which I think takes a
Yeah.
bit of the fun away.
I
Yeah,
think I really just like the BioShock 1 and 2 aesthetic with Rapture. I think the flying city, even though it was like really messed up, I the underwater city was just a fantastic scene to see, especially like the symbolic ending of BioShock 1 where you're at the highest point of Rapture and you get to see the whole city after you've just basically wreaked havoc and been like this revolutionary, but realistically you were the terrorist and you're at the highest point of the city. So like I think that's what really made the game for me was just the whole aesthetic of the underwater city and like all the symbolism and stuff in the game.
BioShock Infinite had a DLC where you play and in Rapture, like it takes place in Rapture before like it goes to shit. Like it's like people are still living there. It's like still like a thriving city and everything. That was really really cool to see.
yeah.
I don't think I
I don't
played the
recall
DLC.
playing it.
I recommend it. I think it came with the collection whenever we got that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Maybe
So
if I want to ever want to revisit it, probably. But yeah, Colin, I agree with your number 5 pick. I'm sure the Bioshock series isn't the last that we're gonna hear of it. So solid
probably not.
solid pick. And to move on to my number 5 pick is it might be a shocker to Zach, mostly. Matt and Colin, I'm not expecting too much, but my number 5 pick is Operation Reverse Double Cross from Sly 3, which is if you've played the games, it's from the story mission or the episode Dead Men Tell No Tales. The main reason I put on my number 5 is one, I love like just pirate missions and stuff. I think that's the most
Oh
fun.
yeah.
Granted, I never played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I want to, but I've heard fantastic things, mostly from you guys. Um, but I feel that the final mission of it um, has like the best, like not the best boss battle or anything, just like the best like operation, like all like the missions that go into it, all like the little chess pieces that are a part of it, compared to the rest in the game, and personally my favorite in the series. So um, I know Zach. I don't know if Sly's anywhere on your list at all, or in honorables or
dude,
anything.
of
But
course it is. What are you
yeah,
talking
good,
about?
good, good. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear more about it. But also I put him at number 5 too, is because I've replayed all the games like a stupid amount of times. I honestly couldn't tell you how many times, but whenever I play the third game, it's what I look forward to the most. Especially with the pirate maps that you can do, just like to find treasure and everything. I love like solving a puzzle that goes with it. Even though, I mean, it's a kid's game, so it's really not like that difficult, but it's still a lot of fun. I mean, me being like 10 years old playing it, definitely has like the nostalgia factor too. So yeah, Sly 3 Operation Reverse Double Cross is my number 5 pick, and we're gonna move it on to Zach for his.
My number 5 pick, and Ron, it probably might surprise you, is from Sly Cooper as well. Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves. It is the Giant Wolf Massacre mission.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So for those of you who do not know, there's a point where you decide, or Bentley decides that they need the place you're at to up the security. And what better way to do that than to provoke a giant wolf, have your little guru guy take mind control over him, and murder all the guards
They had to kill
in
40
the place.
or something around
You have to
that.
kill a lot of them.
Yeah.
You have to kill a lot of them. I just remember I guess my preface to the whole thing is like these are all missions like I looked forward to whenever I would like replay a game, or like really really stuck out in my head from a game. And I remember always looking forward to this mission. I thought it was so cool, like riding the wolf and running around and getting the guards. Like I just felt so powerful as a 7-year-old, just eating everything I saw. But yeah, it was a really fun mission. And that's my number 5.
Yeah, the Red Baron quest line I think was really really good.
Yeah.
All the flying missions. You had some returning cast members from previous games, villains and other
Yeah.
people. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. But yeah, all right, solid pick, Zach, for your number 4. Or sorry, number 5. Matt, what is your number 5?
Yo. I don't have a preface this time around. I do have like common theme, which is mine. The missions I chose weren't like main story impactful ones. They're more of like the goofy, fun side missions because those are the ones that I like remember the most, and I think are the most fun long term. And with that being said, this isn't like this is probably the least goofy one on my list, but my number 5 was the Lego Star Wars bounty hunter missions.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if you guys, I don't know if all of you remember, but in like Lego Star Wars 2, and I think, and in the Complete Saga as well, they had these set of missions where instead of playing as like the main cast, you played as all the bounty hunters, and they put you in this level, and it was like a timed thing, so you had to like figure out how to get through the level as all the bounty hunters and then capture the bounty. Basically, like you were timed on if you could find this like random Star Wars character in this story level.
I do
And I
not remember this.
they were like they were a blast because the bounty hunters are already like probably the coolest characters overall in Star Wars. It displays like Boba Fett, IG-88, Jango, Zam Wessel, like all those guys. And just the concept is really fun too. And I remember I played them in the second game, and then in the Complete Saga, not only did you get more bounty hunters, but they added in more missions. So just like a pretty fun thing to go off and do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done any of those. I think the extent of like post game stuff that I did with like Lego games was trying to get all the red bricks. I gave up on those.
Oh yeah, I mean Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga is the only game I've ever 100%ed.
Well, the bounty hunters was the way that you got the golden bricks, wasn't it? Because I shouldn't say the way, but like one of the ways.
Yeah, you got gold bricks for finishing them, so you had to do them to 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember me and my cousin Scott were. I mean, that's one of the games that on our long weekends as children, Mario Kart Double Dash, Lego Star Wars 1, 2, and the Complete Saga were just those kinds of games that we would sit there and we'd just be like, all right, we're restarting. We delete a save and then we'd go back and play like the whole thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would do, but not with Lego games. It would just be more like Sly and Jack and stuff, or any other games. I would just beat it. I would want to do like more stuff in the game, but it's not like open world level selects like that where there's more to do. So I would just delete saves and then restart the game a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Solid pick, Matt, for your Lego Star Wars game. Colin, Wait, which one was it? That was Lego Star Wars 2?
The complete saga.
Oh, the complete saga. Got it. Okay.
Of course. Why would you play 2 when you could play the one
The
that's
complete
way
one.
better?
Now, I think the all the games are coming out bundled together this year. I think
Yes.
too, Matt. So,
Yeah.
That is correct.
yeah. I'm expecting to see you revisiting that.
I
Do you know if they're
personally,
throwing Clone Wars in there? Because they made a Clone Wars Lego
remember.
game.
I think it's
I
just
don't
1 through
know.
9.
Okay.
I think that's how they're going about it.
I personally don't like the way the new Lego games are being made.
Don't they have voice
I
actors
just-
now?
Yeah.
I
had
think they
voice
do,
actors for a
yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
I just remember I played whenever the new, or I shouldn't say the new at this point, whenever episode 7 came out, they had the Lego Star Wars episode 7, and I was like, why would you release a game that's just one episode? Like, you kind of need all 3 in order to make it like a game, but they managed to do it. But I just remember playing it, and I realized like this was the rest of the games that came out around that time, and onward, it just felt, in a way, it felt like it was trying to do, like, I don't even know what it was trying to do. It just didn't feel like the old Lego games, like the complete saga and stuff. Like, it felt different. It had like a different, I forget what the term is, but like
Different vibe.
action, the action of the characters, like whenever you swung your lightsaber, the build up, the climax of like swinging a lightsaber or something, it didn't feel right. Like, there was something with the feel of all the guns and all the lightsabers and stuff that just didn't feel like it originally did.
That's just the boomer in you talking, Colin.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it
it
might
probably
be.
is.
But Colin, what is your number 4 pick?
My number 4 is right before the podcast. Ron had a question on like quest lines versus quests and missions. Mine is, I don't consider it so it's going to be a sequence from Assassin's Creed. And the reason I don't consider it like a sequence, like an act, is because the memory 1 starts and it's basically just one whole cutscene of 3 memories. And they call it one sequence, but it basically is just you walking down a hallway. And that is sequence 9 from Assassin's Creed Revelations. More specifically, memory 3 of that. But basically what happens is you show up to Masyaf in Assassin's Creed Revelations, and you walk along, and they kind of just do this whole monologue. You're just walking, lighting torches as like people talk and stuff. And memory 1, 2, and 3 are just you walking along, going through Masyaf and stuff. So I don't really think it's a whole act. It's more of just one mission to me. So, but I think the thing that I really enjoyed about this was, one, you get to see probably one of the coolest endings for a character. 2, you get to see it for Ezio, because Ezio is undoubtedly the favored Assassin's Creed character. And you also get to see the ending for one of my favorites, which was Altair. And you get to kind of like, it's kind of like this weird, since it's been out for a while, I don't feel bad talking about it. It's like a, I don't want to say a twist, because it's not really a twist, but it's it's like irony. Because everything the assassins like stand for is like freedom of will, like being able to choose your own destiny, blah 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 blah. And at the end, Ezio basically says, I I mean, he said something along the line of like, I don't remember, I walked this life like not knowing my purpose. And now I understand it. Desmond, and he calls out Desmond in his time. And he says, I'm told that you're supposed to be listening. I've heard your name multiple times. I heard your name many years ago, and it's made me think. I thought about your name constantly, and now I understand what my destiny was, and that was just as a simple conduit for a message. And like, it's this weird, like, all of a sudden it goes from them fighting against the Templars to get rid of because the Templars want to get rid of free will and kind of take over and create a utopia again, and the assassins are trying to keep free will. But at the same time, we see that the gods don't really care. The gods are still keeping, like, it's a very finite amount of control, but there's still enough control that Ezio's life was purely just to line up everything that needed to happen for Desmond to finally accomplish what he needs to accomplish. And then you see Altair's life was exactly the same thing. It was to set up for Ezio and Ezio to set up for Desmond.
Yeah,
So I really enjoyed the ending.
I haven't played pretty much like any Assassin's Creed game besides Origins, or that one, whichever one it was. I think it was Origins. I know I played Assassin's Creed 2 and I never finished it, so I'm not as into everything. I know like you and Zach are high into Assassin's Creed games. Zach, did you finish Valhalla?
No.
Yeah, I heard it's
No,
I haven't-
no.
heard it's a crazy long game.
I've played all the Assassin's Creed games aside from Odyssey and Valhalla. Like I
Yeah.
played them both, but I just haven't beat them.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't
and then,
finished, or I haven't played Odyssey or Valhalla myself yet.
Yeah, and then I haven't played any of like the spin-off ones. Like the one that like I think released along like Black Flag or something for like the old gen
Liberation.
consoles. Yeah, I haven't played that one or the one on Vita.
Liberation might have been the handheld.
There was
Man,
that one,
Vita
and
Stand
there was
didn't play the
another
Vita
one.
I have all of them if
I-
you want to borrow them. Well, technically, you
I-
just have to log into my Uplay, but
Yeah, no, I just don't. Here's the thing: I loved Assassin's Creed, and I still like Assassin's Creed for sure has like a place in my heart. But like, I think that 3 ended, and they were like, "All right, I have no idea what to do with this now." Because the story is so convoluted now and there's so much happening. I remember Revelations and I remember 2 and I remember having fun playing those games, but I cannot tell you a single thing that happened in any of them.
I think the big thing is like Black Flag still continued the story in a weird way. And that's
Black Flag
because
is a bop for sure.
yeah, Black Flag was fantastic, but it continues the story of Desmond in a very like what do people call it whenever you like almost like an astral projection of the story in a way, because the gods keep calling Desmond the blank. I can't think of the name, but the thing that you chase down in Black Flag that has the 2 different colored eyes.
The seer, the oracle, the
Yeah,
something.
like the
I know what
oracle.
you're
They
talking
keep
about.
they keep calling
the
him like
conduit or
yeah,
something.
they keep calling him like the same stuff
The
as that person.
cartographer or like I don't know, it's something
Yeah,
something like that.
It's
It has
something.
to,
I mean, they also gave him many names. Like he was like the oracle, the seer, like kind of like how you said, like he had multiple names, kind of like an epic in a way. But that's kind of like they kind of explained what Desmond was through that. And then all of a sudden, like after Black Flag, they were like, we're just going to tell the story of the assassins now. Instead of like, wait a second, the whole point of Desmond was this whole end of the world apocalypse, and then you kind of threw it out.
yeah.
Like you just stopped telling that story. Like I don't know if like this is some crazy convoluted way to get back to the apocalypse, that they're going through this crazy amount of work to get back to the apocalypse, or if they were like, wait a second, we only planned, like they definitely only planned on doing the Ezio story, and then all of a sudden it blew up so fast that they were like, crap, what do we do?
Yeah. I mean, to my understanding, there is stuff happening in the real world, in Valhalla, like that is alluding that like something's happening like destructively. It talks about COVID too. Like it takes place in 2020, so it has COVID and all that stuff. I don't know. I think that Assassin's Creed I think they've been making the games bigger too, which hasn't helped the franchise in my opinion.
I think they're trying to make it a role-playing game now.
Yeah. Well,
instead of the story.
I saw a tweet, or it was a like kind of a video, and it said Assassin's Creed now gets absolutely skull fucked by something that's 2 levels higher than you. Assassin's Creed then, and it was a video of like Connor taking on the entire British army by himself.
Yeah.
And it said, "Do you know what a power trip is?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing I hated when I played Origins. Like, I just wanted to play the game. I didn't want to like have to do like the side missions and stuff. So like, I don't know. It was just like a lot.
I think the thing is like the side, like most, I don't know. I'm gonna say most of the side missions. It's probably closer to like 50%, but most of the side missions were like important to the story, but like not important to the overall story. Just important to whatever his name was in Origins.
That's the thing. If it's important to the story, then it shouldn't be a side mission, in my opinion.
Well, and that's the thing, is it wasn't important to like the main story. It was just more important to, I guess, understanding
Like a
the character
branch path
better
or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't-
and that's all fine and dandy. I shouldn't be required to play those things just to play the main story.
Yeah, and I think that what they, if what they want to do is like have that whole leveling thing, maybe either just set it so that way like levels don't exist in the game, so that way people who, obviously don't want to bother with that can just skip that stuff.
I don't
Or
know.
like almost like a difficulty, right? Like instead of having easy, hard, whatever, say, do you want to play with levels or do you not want to play with levels? Because if you want to play with levels, then you can play like, get crazy amounts of XP, level up your character tree, whatever. If you don't want to play with levels, then we'll just give you like, after you complete certain missions, we'll just give you character tokens.
I mean, honestly, I like the idea of just making it easy, medium, hard. Like make it like even like make the like hard version how it is now, normal, like just normal, and then easy, easy. But I feel like we're starting to get away from like missions now.
No, we
We're,
definitely
like,
are.
starting to get to
We're
the
getting
Assassin's
to
Creed
more of the
podcast.
problems of Assassin's Creed. But but yeah, Colin, good pick for your number 4. To move on to my number 4. Talking about like difficulty of games, Zach brought up easy, medium, and hard. Sometimes I wish this game had an easy mode to it, but no. It is Jak 2. And the mission specifically, it doesn't have a name. Like the names of the missions in the game are just as like vague as me saying this, but the Seal at the Dock mission is my number 4 pick. And Zach, if you know what mission I'm talking about, it's just whenever you have to fight through the entire docks with all those ships coming down. You can't go in the water. If you do, you die instantly. It's the
That's
worst.
your favorite mission?
The reason it's my favorite is because of how good I felt when I finally beat that mission as a kid. You know what I found out, Zach? When I was trying to find the name of the mission, and I found a post on Reddit where apparently when you're on that mission, you could just turn into Dark Jak and power bomb the water. It'll destroy that boat, and you could just swim across.
I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. The way I get through it now is I just jetboard through it because I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to.
That's the way you have to. But me as a kid, fighting through everything and just not being as good on the sticks as I kind of am now, it was hell.
Yeah.
For some lore into my life of video games, I beat Jak 3 before Jak 2 because it just took me so long, and Jak 3 is significantly easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was between this one and like that rail shooter mission where you have to like destroy the ships and you have all the Crimson Guards coming down and get through
I know
that.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Apparently, I never did it, but if you play hero mode, it ups the difficulty of everything and you take more damage in the game. That is like the mission where people get stuck on to the point where they just never finish hero mode. So I high-key want to go back and try it and see if I could do it and suffer.
It's been a while since I played Jak.
Yeah, it's been a
I remember whenever I was going to Platinum it on the Vita, there was a trophy specifically tied to that. And I used the first time I played it, like I used the sticks. But the trophy was the trophy was for using the touchpad, and I've never had an easier time in my life getting through that.
Yeah. You just
it was amazing.
Yeah. It was the best part of it.
You just touch them.
Yeah.
You literally just poke where you want to shoot and it does it.
Yeah, I wish like on the PS4 port. If it was like a remaster instead, you could use the touchpad for that type of stuff, but
It'd be
fortunately you
interesting
can't.
for sure.
Definitely
but-
would be. I don't know if they ever do it. I doubt it. I doubt they see any point in it, and I don't blame them, to be honest. But
I mean, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, for the PS5, you mean, because they ported it already.
that's what I
for
mean.
the
Yeah,
4.
sorry, the PS5.
Yeah.
But yeah, that mission is my like Everest as a kid of finishing that. And then
Yeah.
I got stuck on another mission later. It took me like a couple years to beat it because I would just try and then give up for a bit. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, overall difficulty of that game as a kid, easy 9 out of 10. Besides any of like the Soul series games, but yeah. Jack
Yeah.
2 is my number 4 pick. Zach, what is yours?
My number 4 is Skellige's Most Wanted Contract from The Witcher 3. For those of you who do not know, the Skellige's Most Wanted Contract is a contract in Witcher. The way the contracts work is whenever you go to a new place or town, you can, since you're a monster hunter, you can get these contracts, and usually at the end of them have to kill a monster. Some of them are a little more in depth though, where it has more of a story to it and its whole like arc type thing. With this one specifically, I believe you're investigating some neckers um, who have who broke a cart or something, and you follow them. But as you're following the tracks, and as you follow the tracks, you start to notice they turn into like human, like child looking feet. And as you progress through the level, basically what ends up happening is you kind of get trapped in this like little area, and 4 monsters who you have hunted or have familiar hunting or have seen before appear. I think it's a werewolf, a godling, a troll, and there's one more, Ron. Do you remember?
I forget. It's like a small creature, I believe.
It is. It's small. A Doppler. I think it's a
Yeah.
Doppler. But basically, like they trap you because you're a Witcher, and they're like, "Haha, we're flipping the script. We're hunting you, Mister Witcher Man." And depending on how, it's such a cool mission, and like hearing them talk to you and the way they talk to you. So the options you basically have like through the dialogue. So you can end the mission by like killing them and getting through it and everything. Or you could actually end the mission on like pretty good terms with them, and it all depends on how you previously played the game before. Because they like see you as like this monster who only just kills monsters like without having any second thought. And if throughout the duration of the game previously, if you rather than killing a troll who's in your way, like reason with him or like get him out of the way or like stuff like that, or like you have options throughout the game where you do that. If you do that, then like the way they respond to you and the way the mission plays out affects that. It's just really stuck out to me. Every time I think about the game, it always like that's one contract I always think about. And it's just really cool. It's different. It's not like the typical like, oh, monsters causing problems, go find monster, kill monster. It kind of added like a different layer of like looking at it, because they see you as the monster, as someone who just maliciously kills them for just existing how they naturally exist. It's just really cool. So yeah, that's my number 4.
Yeah, I love those missions like in Witcher. Like the Witcher contracts I think have more of a story to them than I think meets the eye whenever you see it at
Yeah.
first, because a lot of them, I mean, there's a good bit. I think there's like 30 contracts in the game, like something around that.
Yeah.
Not including DLC, but like a lot of them are just like, hey, go here, kill this thing. But sometimes like you find out there's more than meets the eye. Like, the humans were actually like the bad people in some of the circumstances, or
Yeah.
some of them are actually just trying to get away from people and everything. Like they're just monsters on the run essentially, but didn't do anything.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of like really cool ones. They get really deep, especially like in the books, like the first 2 specifically, because those are the ones I meant. Like the short stories in there, like, monsters
Yeah,
have their own
absolutely.
things going on. Just, Geralt's the one that kills them, but he also spares them whenever he can. So it's really
Yeah.
cool. I love those missions, and I mean, you need gold some way, so it's also the best way to get
I
about
like
it.
I like this in all video games whenever they, because if there's one mission that I actually really liked, because I didn't get to finish The Witcher, as we all know, just because I'm a completionist and trying to look through every house and blah 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 takes a while in The Witcher. But if there's one thing that I liked was the one mission towards the beginning of the game, where there's the wraith in the well.
Yeah, Devil in the Well.
Yeah.
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 That one, like, even though like realistically it's just to go kill this mission, I always like in video games whenever they add in a good amount of story to something that's basically meaningless.
Yeah.
And like you sit there and you go, "Oh, I'm like more connected to this game just because now like I feel like I'm a part of the world now because now you understand more of what was going on in the world and blah 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 blah." So
Yeah.
there's like that better understanding now.
Yeah, I mean, there's even I mean, just like you said, like that whole mission takes place. You do just kill her in the end, but you do, like through your investigation, and everything, you discover that this is why she is what she is. This is why there's a wraith there, and how she
Yeah.
turned into a wraith, and what happened to her was horrible.
And
But
it's cool just to like see that kind of stuff thrown into a game. I
yeah,
think.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice that, as Colin said, they're not just like, hey, you're at point A, go to point B, kill, come back, get your money. Like a lot of them last at like 30 minutes to maybe like an hour and a half, like per thing too.
Oh
So
yeah,
they're not
especially
just some
like
quick
the
kill
the
thing.
Leshen one,
Mm-hmm.
like the Watcher in the Woods or whatever it's
Yeah.
called. That one's a lot. I think you could probably kill like an hour and a half doing those missions.
Or even the werewolf whose stomach is never full but he's always hungry, like that one with Yennefer. I think it's more of a main mission than anything, but yeah, you have to deal with that one. That one's a long one also. So
Yeah, yeah. Or the one where the werewolf's wife or the werewolf's wife's sister tricks her into going to the woods when he's a
Oh my
werewolf, and he kills
God.
her
Yeah,
because she likes her sister's husband.
that one was annoying.
Bitch.
That's like a start. That's the beginning of the game one too. That one was a pain in the ass for me to finish at the start. Werewolf,
really?
Werewolf kept clapping me at first, but then I learned about oils and then I started using those, and he wasn't.
Oh, I didn't even fight him. I didn't even fight him.
Oh, no,
No,
get
you
good
do fight
money.
him. You do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You do fight him. I didn't kill him though, because at the end he's like, "Oh, just."
No, the
He's
fight's the
like,
pain because you have the wolves you have to fight too.
yeah, yeah, but then in the end, it's like he finds that out about like his sister-in-law basically setting him to kill his wife up, and then you have the option to either save the sister-in-law or just leave and let him handle his shit.
Yeah, I think
left.
the first time I killed him, and then every time after that, I just let him do his own thing.
Yeah, dude, I was like, no, that she just did you so dirty.
Yeah,
you get this one. This is a free one.
No, for sure.
And I like that because like the way I think about it is there's one mission, it's not even really a mission, but there's one hidden miscellaneous quest, I guess, in Fallout 4 where you go into this random house and just by like reading the diaries and like looking at wine bottles, and obviously they have to tell you certain things by like the names of things, so some of the wine bottles were poisoned and stuff, and you're going through this like tiny apartment that's probably like, you know, for something easier for people to understand, probably like the size of one of the bottom floors of one of the Nuketown houses. And it's not that big, but they packed in like a genuine story into this tiny little apartment. And I really appreciate that with game designers because it's something like that I don't think would really exist if like it doesn't get you into the game as much if they don't exist, you know? Like there's extra things going on with the game if you put those things in and you feel a part of the world, and that's what I'm really appreciative of whenever those things are in the game.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Matthew, what's your number 4?
My number 4 was the Borderlands 2 side mission when you get the Bane. I can't remember exactly what it's called.
It might just be called the Bane.
I think it might be. I don't really remember.
I hate
But
that entire area of Borderlands 2 though.
That is the worst
Which
part.
one? Like dust?
Yeah, was it? No, not the dust.
No,
It's
no.
not- you're not in the dust. You're in that like old west town.
Yeah,
I forget what it's called. That's where you
Oh
are.
yeah.
that's the
I hate that
worst
entire
area. I
area.
hate it.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I mean, the concept I think is really cool. It's like the gun that's deemed like unsafe to wield because it makes everyone go insane who uses
Yeah.
it. Your whole mission is just to pick it up and see what it's about, and then you get the gun, and it's just a complete pain in the ass on all axes. Like it screams at you every time you shoot it, and when you reload, it makes your movement speed atrocious.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't
just
it,
Can't go anywhere with that gun.
and isn't it your aim down sway like super high until you start shooting it, then it just gets
oh
better
yeah,
as you go.
it's unmanageable.
See, like you have
Yeah,
to
it's a
listen.
Hyperion, I think.
Yeah, you have to listen through the
Yeah.
madness of all the screaming if you want to actually use it. And it's a solid gun too, which is the worst part.
No, the gun's not even that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great gun for whatever level you get to. It's just, I'm sure, done on purpose so that people actually like use it and then just go insane.
Yeah, it's the trade-off.
Yeah, exactly. Your mental stability or getting an extra 100 damage per bullet gun.
I always look forward to doing it because it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to doing it just so I can get the hell out of that area and never go back to it. It's just the worst part. Yeah. Colin, we're going to bring it back to you for your number 3 pick. What is it?
Number 3 is a funny one. I really like this one. And that is Grandma Flexington's story,
I knew it was
Raid
gonna be
Boss
on your
difficulty.
Oh my god.
It's like one of those things that are it's funny for people who haven't played Borderlands 2's The Horrible Hunger of the Ravenous Wattle Gobbler. Basically what it is it's this tiny DLC themed around Thanksgiving, and at the end you can go talk to Grandma Flexington, who is Torg's grandma. And basically, like, you know how whenever you go over your grandparents' house and they just tell you stories and it's always the same story and they always forget, but they keep telling you the same story and you just have to listen there, nod your head, and then they genuinely do things like they're like they almost ask you questions or they make sure that you're paying attention and stuff. So in this case, they turned a whole quest line into a story where you literally stand there for probably like 20 minutes and you have to listen to Grandma Flexington's story. And randomly, it'll just ask you questions about the story. Now, you can look up the answers and cheat, but the point of it is that you go into it and you are like sitting there listening to it, and after like 7 minutes you turn away, you're on your phone, and then all of a sudden she asks you a question for the first time and you go, oh my god, and then you fail it and then you have to go back through the whole 7 minutes again. And it's pretty, it's like one of those funny things because then they also add in raid boss difficulty to make it even more funny, because that's what Borderlands does. You get like a purple, you don't even get like good loot out of it, but you get a ton of experience because technically it is a raid boss. And you get a purple rocket launcher from Torg, basically,
It's
and
like
it's pretty cool.
it was funny. Like it's funny to look back on. I was thinking of some Borderlands 2 missions and that one came up, but I don't know. I don't think I could experience it again. Like it would just be too rough for me. Maybe if I'm playing a co-op game with you, because then I could just get up and leave, and then you'll do the work for it.
If I recall, didn't we one of the people we played with, didn't he keep selecting the wrong answers?
Oh yeah, because then she retells the
Yeah.
part that you would have got wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you must not have been paying attention. Okay, let's go over it again."
It's like, no, we were. You hit the wrong one.
Yeah. No, it was a huge pain, but yeah, Colin, I can agree with it. It's definitely one of like Borderlands 2's like funniest missions, just in terms of
Yeah.
If you're able to actually bear it. If it's between that and the Bane gun that I think is which one is worse in the end, you know.
Yeah.
Eventually you outgrow the Bane, but you never outgrow Grandma's 50-minute story. So
Yeah, it's like some insane length, and it feels even longer whenever you're in the moment.
yeah.
No, exactly.
Well, to move on to my number 3. This rest of my list is getting into more of like the modern games. This mission is titled Red Dead Redemption from Red Dead Redemption 2, the final mission of Red Dead 2. Um, I think that Rockstar, I don't know, it was the God of War and Red Dead 2 came out that year, and I think Rockstar knocked out of the park creating Arthur Morgan and
Yeah.
having his story conclude with that mission. High key brought me to tears. It was one of the most like emotional endings I think of the game, and like the last like 15 hours or however long of like the story, you already knew what was going to happen in the end. You just didn't want to accept it. And then of course, spoiler alert, your horse dies. God forbid you had the same horse from the beginning of the game, because in my Reddit searches, a lot of people did, like they had that horse that you start with for the whole game because they just wanted to keep it, and then he dies. Which is impressive for them, because there's been plenty of times where I would use like the auto travel with the horse, and the horse just kills himself because he's stupid going down a mountain. Just the worst thing in the world. But honestly, like thinking about like this mission makes me want to actually replay the game. I tried doing it at some point, but I don't know, like the mechanics, the shooting mechanics just didn't do it for me. Like I prefer it in GTA, not too much Red Dead. Like I'm sure I'll give it another shot at some point down the road when I'm really wanting to replay games and stuff. But I mean, I think Matt is the only one who hasn't played Red Dead 2, or at least finished it.
I have not played it.
Yeah, so I know Greg is, I think, like a chapter away from beating it from like 3 years ago. So that
Yeah,
guy,
I think
crazy.
the big thing for me is I think I was the only one here to play Red Dead Redemption 1. So like my question was, how are they going to fit in a character that they didn't even talk about in Red Dead
Right.
Redemption 1? Because Red Dead Redemption 1 is after Red Dead Redemption 2. So it was like, how are they going to do this? Like, are they just going to retcon a bunch of stuff? And basically what they did was they were like, yeah, he dies. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I thought maybe he'd like go off and help the feds or something. Nope.
yeah, and like the craziest part too was that like 5 hours in the game, his fate was sealed. Like as soon as he fought the farmer, then that's like when he was gonna die. And
Yeah.
whenever they told him he had TB, I was just like, oh, it's just TB. And then I remember what year it was, and then I was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna die. And like I didn't even know who he got it from. Like it until they like referenced the farmer, I was like, oh, son of a bitch. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like they really
Well,
like
whenever
did it to
you-
you that way.
Whenever
Strauss
you
killed Arthur.
do it, like the game gets so dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Like after, like on the ride back, like it's like something crazy just happened. You know something happened, but you're like, what's going on? Why is it so like intense right now? And then you find out later.
Yeah, well, like at least for me, I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, it's just intense because he's just an asshole. Like he's just
That's
that
what I'm
guy.
thinking.
That's what I think what
Yeah.
the majority of the people think. So I don't know. It was just crazy, and I think around that time is when they also introduced like the karma system of good and bad, also. So I think that's what led me to believe it too. So yeah, I don't know,
Right.
but absolutely a phenomenal game. I know I expected it to be winning Game of the Year that year also. And damn well deserves it. Voice acting, everything in that game is fantastic. But yeah, the final mission, I guess not the final mission, but it's the final mission of Arthur that you would play.
Yeah.
Is the best in the game. So highly recommend if you never played it. I'm sure everyone around you who has played it recommends it as well. But to move on to Zach for his number 3 pick, what is it, bud?
My number 3 pick is Burning the Weed Fields in Far Cry 3.
That almost made the list.
Oh yeah.
It was such a cool mission for no other reason, honestly, than the fact that Bundem starts playing out of nowhere. I think one of the most expertly used licensed music in games I've seen. For those of you who don't know, Far Cry 3, blast of a game. You get sent on a mission. You're fighting like these people who have control of the island, and one of their main
They're
ways of
basically
making
modern
income.
pirates.
Yeah. And one of their main ways of making income is selling drugs. So in order to like hurt them, you have to take a flamethrower and burn their entire weed field. Well, I don't know if anyone knows what happens when you inhale the smoke of marijuana, but it does a little something to you. So while you're doing this, all of a sudden the screen gets very like weird and loopy, and then Bun Dem by Skrillex starts playing the entire time while you're doing this, and it's really it's a great mission. It's an awesome mission.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the missions I'm sad about that I'm not gonna replay just because Far Cry 3 is so dated that I can't go back
Yeah.
and play
Takes
it.
so long too.
Yeah. Like it's late game. I think it's like towards end of Act
It's on the
2,
second
Act 3.
island, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So it's around that point, but
Yeah.
no, it's definitely it was the first time I've heard that song by Skrillex, so it
Same.
was nice.
Same.
Getting like just into that genre of music too made it all the
I mean, it
better.
only came out like a few months beforehand too.
Yeah, like it was real recent. Like recent in terms of when the game launched, but I didn't know if it was like made for the game or whatever, but yeah.
I don't think it was.
No, yeah. Like at the time I figured cuz I just never heard it, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can wholeheartedly agree with that mission. I think that's just the best part of the entire game is just being able to do that. But Far Cry 3 in
agree.
general is just a phenomenal game. So,
For sure.
lot to choose from there. So, good pick, Zach.
Thank
Matthew, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is the Al Gore side missions from South Park: The Stick of Truth. I think that Al Gore is one of the funnier side characters in South Park. So whenever he shows up and has you like find Man Bear Pig and set up all these beacons, and then you have to fight him, and then after you beat him, you have to fight Man Bear Pig. It's all just really funny and adds to the charm of the game for me. Definitely one of the ones I look forward to.
That's Stick of Truth, right? The first one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you've been making me want to replay that game lately. That or
I'm almost
Fractured But
finished
Whole.
with my rerun.
Is that what made you start thinking of it to throw on the list? Was that
No,
just
I mean
more memory?
it would have made mine regardless.
Gotcha. Yeah, those I don't know. Like the thing about the South Park games is that they're very like true to the show, in the sense like obviously the art style has to stay the same, but just like the humor and everything with it, that I think a lot of like TV shows that go into video games like falter on. Like, you know, like obviously like
Yeah, for sure.
you can't really compare like the SpongeBob games and stuff like the Nickelodeon games and everything, but I think it's where a lot of them kind of flop. I think South Park is like the best TV adapted show that was put into a video game. So,
Oh yeah.
Matt, I can agree with your number 3 pick. If you haven't played Stick of Truth and you're a South Park fan, then you're messing up. You like really, really have to go play it. That or Fractured But Whole, solid series as well.
100%. We have to go play it.
But Colin, to bring it back to you for your number 2 pick, what is it?
So I finally thought of a preface, and that preface is that none of these share a common theme in the sense of like why I like them. If that make like I didn't make it so that way like BioShock was because of the incredible twist and lore behind it. I guess Sequence 9 from Assassin's Creed also had lore, but it was more BioShock was the twist. Sequence 9 is the lore. Grandma Flexington's was laughs. And then this one, it was brothers from Ultimate Spider-Man, the old game. I shouldn't say old because it's not that old. It was on the GameCube and PlayStation 2 era. And basically in this universe, they stick Peter Parker with some serum in order to call to the Venom symbiote. And instead of turning into Venom again or getting the symbiote back or whatever his plans were, at the end of this whole sequence, we find out that he turned into Carnage, because you end up playing as Venom and you beat the crap out of Carnage, and then all of a sudden Venom sucks in Carnage and then spits out Peter Parker. So it was kind of cool to see how it like uh they kind of like changed the story in this universe. Um it was more or less, it was just more fun to play as two characters, or well, really you didn't play as Carnage, but it was fun to play as Venom and beat up Carnage in a game, because that was really fun. Um and then like the way that they did it, the way they handled it was basically Venom goes to this lab and he's looking around, he's trying to I forget why he was there. He wants to take over the city basically. So like, not really take over the city, but he's like kind of there to do what Carnage is doing in that universe. What Carnage does. He was just like wreaking havoc and like absorbing people and blah 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 blah. Basically like they start this whole fight sequence, Carnage bursts into the room, and then after the fight sequence was over, they go back to earlier and they show Peter Parker getting stuck, and then they do quick flashes of the battle, and then they show Peter Parker getting spit out of Venom. And you were like, "Oh, that's how Carnage came to be in this universe, was that whole thing happening." But because Venom absorbed Carnage, he became like super Venom. They didn't really make him into like poison or anything. They just said he's Venom, or toxin, or whatever you want to evolve him into. They just made him super Venom in a sense, and he was just like then wreaking havoc, and it was pretty cool to like just beat up Carnage's Venom, because the Venom symbiote had very different powers than Spider-Man in that game, instead of having the same powers, which was cool.
Yeah, I haven't played any of like the old Spider-Man games besides I think it was just self-titled, like just Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1 back in the day.
Yeah, there was like
I think
Spider-Man,
Venom is like the
Spider-Man 2,
main
Enter
person.
Electro, um, and then I forget what the final one was. But then they started doing like the ones after the movies and blah blah
Right.
blah. So
Which is kind of where video games took a huge like route for
yeah,
at least a little bit towards like the
and I have to say,
PS2 PS3 era.
I did really enjoy all the other Spider-Mans that weren't based off the movies, like Web of Shadows and Friend or Foe. Me and Tyler used to play a lot of Friend or Foe whenever we were younger. Um, like he would come over and that's all we played on the Wii, so that was fun. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of those.
Well, it's a solid pick. I have my experience like with Spider-Man games. I haven't been let down with any of them, so can agree with your number 2 pick, Colin. But to move on to my number two is more of a quest line than anything, because there's just a lot that goes into it. But my number 2 pick is Family Matters in The Witcher 3, which is like the
That's a good
Red
one.
Baron side quest line that goes on.
Bloody Baron.
The Bloody Baron,
Red
of
Baron's
course.
different.
Or yes, sorry, the Bloody Baron. Well, he's red with blood, Zach. Come on, same thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's part of the game. I think to me is like the most like important, mainly because still in the beginning of the game. You are in no man's land, and I think the problem with a lot of open world games is that at least at some point there is like the desert equivalent of the world. So like Cyberpunk, you have the desert. No one cares about the desert for only one reason you care about it.
There's
Um,
big one big reason.
one
Two
big
big
reason.
reasons actually.
Yeah. And like I don't know, like every game that's open world, like not all of them, but I kind of have that equivalent to them. The thing that I think Witcher did correctly was No Man's Land didn't really have too much in it. It was just, forests and everything, monsters occasionally in some villages, but the Family Matters quest line takes place pretty much entirely in that area. Besides having to go to Novigrad like once or twice. Um, so it kind of made it like the staple of that area, and it being one of the first places you go to after White Orchard. What is the place you go to right after White Orchard? Um, it definitely started to help me realize like kind of how intricate the game is with your choices and everything that goes into it. Um, but I think just the quest line in general is really good. You find out why the Bloody Baron's family left him, what happens um, when your actions have consequences, and everything that goes on with the sisters. I think is just really good overall. So um, that's why I put it as my number two. Originally, it was the Last Wish side mission, but I felt that Family Matters I think was just a bit better, and it's also way longer. That thing is a huge chunk of your time if you're gonna play. It's like probably closer to the high of 20 something hours. So definitely a solid time. Highly recommend it. I mean, you kind of have to do it at some point, but you can toss it to the side after. So yeah, that is my number two. Zachary, what is yours?
My number two, and Ron, I think you can at least agree with it, even if it's not on your list, is, and I looked for the name, I couldn't find it, but the Saints Row 3 mission where you need to reclaim your penthouse and you jump out of a plane to Kanye West's Power. It is one of the most amazing feelings anyone can ever have. Ron, that one night, me and you played it, when it was me and you jumping out of that plane, it felt so good, to the point that I now at some point do want to go skydiving, and I do want to have some type of headphone in listening to that song while I do it. It was such an invigorating feeling.
If you might have to hum
doing
it to yourself, because I don't know if your ears will be able to take the pressure of falling thousands of feet from the sky and having earphones in. But
I don't know. I'm sure there's a way.
possibly.
I'm sure
I mean, you could just use headphones instead.
You could jerry-rig it somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Get
sure
some
there's
rubber
definitely a
bands
way to
around.
do it.
No, we need it. We need to be like on a FaceTime call or something, like while we're flying down, and then just have it going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure like I could like put like shooting earmuffs over like a pair of like AirPods or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Or just wear headphones.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. You know?
Yeah, you know how much money he spent on the AirPods? Are you serious? You're not gonna take him skydiving and just lose them? Yeah, no, that is, I think, that is the best mission of the game, and it's early on too, so it's nice to, like, if you just want to only do that mission, you can.
Yeah,
just kind of hop back into
sure.
it. There was
and just like the whole energy of the mission too, of like reclaiming your like hideout. You're like you jump out of that plane to listen to that song, knowing you're about to mess some people up when you get there.
And I think
like Daddy's Home type energy.
Exactly, and I think the thing that game did right is have co-op from the very beginning to the very end. So it's always nice just like have that like co-op experience. The only problem I have with Saints Row 3 now is the kind of the same problem with Far Cry 3. It's so dated.
It is very dated.
I tried going back and playing it. I couldn't even do Saints Row 4, and that was like a couple of years. I forget
if they remastered it or not, though. Did they actually give it a full remaster?
I don't think so. I'm
pretty sure they did.
I think they did, but I think they did that and Saints Row 4, because I don't think you can remaster 4 without 3. 3 is more loved. So
well, I think the one we played was on PS Now, and it was the PS3 version. I don't think it was. I don't think it was the remaster.
No, I don't think it was either. I think I don't know why. I think I recall having Saints Row 4 on my PS5, I guess. So it would surprise me if we didn't have 3, but I guess we don't. So
no, we definitely had 4 because I think I bought it and you downloaded it.
Yeah, because I had it on PC originally because it was like some deal or something, but. I don't know. That game's not too great, unfortunately. So we'll see if they make a 5th.
Yeah,
I can kind of reclaim the roots. I think Saints Row 3 was the point where they realized, hey, we're not ever gonna top GTA, so let's just make this as weird as possible. And Saints Row 3, I think, did a fantastic job, and then they kind of went overboard on 4 with the superpowers.
Yeah, like I think, I thought 4 was good. Yeah, I thought 4 was good. It just wasn't 3 at the end of the day. It just wasn't 3, and I wanted something like 3, not what Saints Row 4 was. So
yeah, I don't know. My favorite.
I think the superpowers just dragged it away.
Yeah, exactly.
It completely changed what the game was.
Weren't you president in the beginning too?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's what happens at the end of 3, basically.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I shouldn't say that's what happens. It's the way that they lead up to. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just a lot that happens. It's a fun game, really like fun mess around stuff. The cars are fantastic in the game. That's what I loved about 3. But then you get superpowers in 4,
Yeah.
and then it's like, what's the point
There's
of having
no
cars?
reason.
Yeah,
There's no reason to have
yeah.
a car.
You use it for like half an hour, and then you're running the entire time and just jumping. So
It basically felt like they wanted to create. They almost wanted to just do Crackdown, but Saints Row
yeah,
in a weird way.
that I think it's like a Crackdown GTA mix, and then they forgot
Yeah.
GTA was a component in Saints Row 4. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, Crackdown's
I
a good
agree with that.
comparison, but yeah.
Yeah.
But Zach, solid number 2 pick. I was thinking about
Thank
that
you, thank
mission a
you.
lot when making my list. But
That's a good one.
Yeah.
unfortunately did not make the cut. But to move on to Matt, what is your number 2 pick?
My number 2 is the honey badger hunting mission from Far Cry 4.
Oh my god.
Explain for the
This
people who
mission-
don't know.
It's just fun. It's stupid and fun. So basically, in Far Cry 4, there are like legendary hunting missions where you have to hunt down like legendary animals in the area of the game that you're playing, and one of them is a honey badger. And then when you pull up to its like lair, there's literally just bodies of dudes everywhere. Like this thing has killed like rhinos, elephants, and like whole platoons worth of soldiers. And when you get up and start fighting it, like this thing takes like 2 clips of an LMG to the face and just doesn't die to anything. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, and he
It's
pretty
just
much
a
like
good
2
fun
hits
mission.
you.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure
It's
when
insane.
fucks you up.
I'm pretty sure when you kill it, you actually pop a trophy called like taking no shit or something like that.
Probably.
No,
I
there's
don't
definitely
yeah.
some trophy or achievement that goes along with it, just to signify how
Yeah.
BS that mission was. Honey badgers are freaking crazy though, IRL.
No, they are for sure.
Oh yeah.
Which definitely just makes it better. Because I think there was, like you said, Matt, like probably like mountain lions and just everything like around his lair area. But I don't know. I think when I died so many times to it, going up, I just started popping grenades just like from a huge distance just to try to get like some
Yeah.
advantage on this thing. 'Cause it was so tough.
He's a super villain.
He's a Dark Souls
He's a
character.
super villain.
Freaking like Dark Souls villain or the final boss of Bloodborne or something. It's crazy. But yeah, solid pick. It's I think it's the mission that stands out the most in Far Cry 4 to me is those. And I think that game took a big emphasis on hunting more than I think 3 did. So, which is something I really appreciated in it. And then you play
I would
Primal,
agree
which
with
is
that.
all hunting. Which
I
is
think it was a lot
arguably
of
the
just
best
the
part.
way that they implemented crafting in that game was a lot better than some of the others.
Yeah, because I think you had to get the honey badger, I think, to have the last gun holster.
Yeah, you had to do all of the legendary hunting.
Yeah, to get everything.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last thing, yeah, like how Matt said, the last thing for everything was always a legendary animal.
Good pick, Matt. Colin, we're gonna bring it back to you for your number 1 pick. So what is it?
My number 1 is Pax in Bello from Marvel's Spider-Man from the PS4.
Explain
I
the
thought
mission.
that
I don't remember the title.
that's the final mission.
Okay,
Mm.
gotcha. Okay.
I thought, I mean, obviously, like, you know, as a Spider-Man fan, I obviously knew that Otto was going to turn into what he turned into. Seemed like they were almost going to make it wait for the second game at a certain point throughout the story. You were like, oh my god, when's this going to happen?
I really wish they did, honestly, but yeah.
But I really enjoy, because I really like Dr. Octopus, so it was really good to like see how they made him, and I was not disappointed at all. He was phenomenal, and the whole ending was this beautiful action sequence fighting on the side of a skyscraper, and
Mm-hmm.
just like, I mean, as a Spider-Man fan, I definitely took to it a lot more because it was like this really emotional moment with him and Otto. But this one was definitely just the fact of the cinematics. Like the cinematics in the final mission of that game is phenomenal, because it's not even like it's cinematics, because it's all like quick time events or like you just press square a few times, but it all feels like this interactive cinematic in a sense. And it delivered. Like the final mission and the way they like kind of end off with the final mission and stuff, it was phenomenal.
No, it felt like you were just playing a Marvel movie, just from the MCU, like at the end. It had like the emotion of one too.
I also really enjoyed like one, you get the new suit at the end. I really enjoyed that. Um and just kind of
Suits are
I
fantastic.
don't like it was almost just the way that the whole ending felt, because the whole like, at least for me, I did all the side missions and stuff as they came up because that's what I do. So like at the end it was like this huge power trip of just like getting to use all your abilities for the final boss, and it was a lot of fun. And I don't know, I really enjoyed the whole like power trip cinematic at the end. That's pretty much like why this made my number one, is because it like, I guess what I tried to do is I tried to pick like certain things that kind of like what I do with other things is, of a certain category I picked the best one of that, and then I also kind of like ranked those categories. So like to me, getting like the huge power trips that you do in some video games, I think was probably the most fun. Whenever you just feel like you're in a sense you're a superhero, but whenever you feel like you're unstoppable is like the coolest moment in video games. So that's why I kind of made that my number one.
Excellent pick. I mean, it's. I think Spider-Man's like, I think in like top 5 of like PlayStation exclusive games, and for good reason. Because I don't know, the combat of the game. I knew going into it that it was pretty much gonna be like, the Batman Arkham series, but Spider-Man. But it did it in such a way that it didn't feel copy and paste from it, which I appreciated a lot. So
Yeah, it was definitely a very different combat system.
exactly, yeah. So agree with your pick. It's a solid game. But to move on to my number one pick, it is the Talon of God from Borderlands 2, the final mission of the game, if you didn't know the name of it. Um, I think Borderlands 2 is, I think, the best game that I have ever played in terms of co-op experiences with all of you guys.
Yeah.
Just like the first time, I don't even know. It was like really late one night, I think, that we beat it for the first time back in like high school. And we already had like that late night energy, laugh at everything type of mood that we were on. So going through the beginning of it with Claptrap not being able to go upstairs and then realizing he's just useless at that point, still sticks out in like the little memory chamber in my head. Um, and then just seeing like the conclusion, I guess the conclusion of his story, but Handsome Jack's uh, story that he was introduced at the beginning of the game. He dies in the end. You beat him as the final boss. Um, he is in Tales from the Borderlands, but there's not really like more of a continuation of his story in that. Um, I think it's just an excellent game all around. I think that mission solidifies it. You avenge Roland's. Granted, Borderlands 2 is the first game I played, so I wasn't too attached to him. Um, but I'm sure if I played Borderlands 1 first, I would have been. So, um, fantastic game. Really good series. Borderlands 2 is the best one of them, but in terms of co-op games, if you're looking to play with friends, we highly recommend Borderlands 2 if you haven't touched it yet. So that's my number one pick.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to listen to the grandma story Colin was talking about earlier, and Matt's his Bane story also. So yeah.
And all of the wonderful interactive guns in that game, like as we call it, the ex-girlfriend gun. I don't really remember what it's called, but she constantly like just yells at you and criticizes everything you do while you shoot the sniper rifle and have the sniper rifle in your hand.
Yeah, that one. I didn't really use it too much because I didn't use snipers in the game all that often. That one was good. All the talking guns are good in their own way, but the Bane's the best one, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Borderlands 2, my number one pick. Zach, what is yours?
So my number one is Cliffhanger from Modern Warfare 2. This was the first mission of Call of Duty I ever played in my life. It was the first time I ever played like an FPS like that, like with that type of gravity. I was blown away by like the graphics because at the time, like these were like the best graphics we'd ever seen in a Call of Duty, um, or really in gaming. I feel like at the time, opens like so cool. You're hanging off the side of this like ice cliff, like jets fly right over you. You look over, you just see Soap smoking a cigar, looking sick as shit, throws it off the cliff. He's like, all right, let's go. Opens up with like that like kind of like nervy moment of like you sliding off the cliff in the ice, and Soap just like saves you and throws you up. I'm a big stealth guy. I love stealth games. And that was the first like type of game that I experienced that type of stealth, in the sense that like I can lay in the snow and like the cover of the storm actually like hides me from people, using the heartbeat sensor, and then going through everything. It's just a really cool mission, and it's so I played that over my friend Bailey's house, and which is why it's the first mission of Call of Duty I ever played, because he just like gave me the controller. But I would always think about that mission specifically whenever I wanted, because I really wanted to get a PS3 to play Modern Warfare 2 specifically because of this mission, and always a mission that I always think back on and will always like hold like really really like close. So
And I'm sure when it was remastered on the PS4, it was definitely more of a hype moment too. Being
oh
able to
yeah,
just
dude,
experience it again.
yeah, like I remember, yeah, they remastered the day it dropped, because they like stealth dropped it. It wasn't like, hey, it's coming in a month or two. It like all of a sudden existed.
Yeah, they gave you like a 5-day warning.
Yeah, and it was like right in the middle of quarantine too, which so it was perfect. I bought it immediately, no questions asked.
Got a nice soap skin too for Modern Warfare.
Ghost, sir.
Or sorry, Ghost.
UTD, Ghost UTD skin. Yep. Yes, I did. That's great. Yeah, it's my favorite mission.
Matthew, what's your number one?
My number one is the talking dog side quest in Skyrim.
Barnabas.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
Barnabas.
Cool.
So basically, what happens in this is I think it's Falkreath is the town
Yeah,
that you're in,
Falkreath.
Mhm.
and you talk to the blacksmith, and he randomly is like, "Hey, I lost my dog. Can you go out and look for him?" And you're just like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then you like pull up to this dog, and he starts talking to you, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm actually the servant of like this Daedra lord. I need you to like come help me." So you go on like you slaughter like the whole cave full of like the people who are worshiping him, and then the dude's like, "I need to regain my power over Skyrim or something." So as you go to this cave full of vampires, kill all the vampires, and then afterwards you reunite him with his dog, and he gives you like a cool helmet.
Or you kill his dog and he gives you an axe.
I mean,
Yeah.
but why would you kill his dog?
Who's
though?
killing the dog?
I'm just listing the options so that people know.
Well, but that one's not an option because you wouldn't do that.
I don't know. It's a pretty cool axe, man.
I don't even
Maybe
know
you
what the
have
axe
the blood
is.
of a dog on your hands though.
I've always reunited him with the dog.
It's really sick. It's a really cool axe. The story of that axe, like that I learned whenever I was just recently playing it, was I guess like a king or something prayed to that Daedra Lord to help cure his daughter from his werewolf, her werewolf infliction, and the way he answered it was giving him that axe.
Dang,
That's funny.
Yeah.
hardcore. I don't know. I love playing it, and I think like one of the main reasons I liked it so much was that like most fun Skyrim side quests, I found it on accident.
Mm-hmm.
So that like when I was like, oh, I thought I was just doing like a cool little fetch quest for this dude, and then it turned out to be this whole like plot with this Daedra Lord that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I think I've done it once before in like my 10-year experience playing that game. I only really did it this time when I finished it just for the platinum, because you had to do it for all like the Daedra quests and stuff. I didn't even know it was a Daedra quest to begin with. I thought it was just something cool you get at the end. Um, but I remember just like the first time a dog just coming up to you and talking, you're just like, what is this? What is this game even? Like, there's a lot of like
What is that?
surprises the game has, and I think it was one of them, and it's a really fun quest. That and I think like the Forsworn Conspiracy are like the top two like side missions in Skyrim. So
I really like the Forsworn Conspiracy.
yeah, it almost made the cut for me, but that wraps up our top 5 list. Colin, you are gonna start our honorables with your number 3 if you order them. Not sure what you did.
So I didn't really order mine. But the preface for this is that one of them is not a single like mission or quest, because I've kind of felt like they all were one quests personally. But we got shoot this guy in the face from Borderlands 2.
Love it.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic mission. It is just some guy who
Straight to the point.
he's a psycho.
He's like Shooty McShooty face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole point is he asks you as a quest to shoot him in the face. And like he'll keep yelling like shoot me in the face. He'll have different lines as you just stand there like just
like watch
I don't
him.
know.
Watch him ask.
Yeah, like just watching him and being stupid, watching him freak out. And he says like if you shoot him in limbs, he says, "Oh my god, like I didn't think it was this hard," and like he taunts you, like he's just taunting you to shoot him in the face, and like eventually once you shoot him in the face, he just says, "Thank you," and then he dies. So I thought that one was like just a fun little Borderlands ism.
That mission and like the kill yourself mission in Borderlands 2 are like the top. Like,
oh yeah, that one
random
almost made the
ones.
list,
Yeah.
and then I had to like leave it alone, I guess.
It's just on Borderlands only list. Understandable.
Mine could have been exclusively Borderlands.
Yeah, if we
Yeah.
did best Borderlands missions, that could be its own thing. And then I don't know how they break up the missions, but the opening missions in Outriders, or the opening mission in Outrider, even though it's not out yet, if you've played the demo,
It is out. Yet,
No, it comes out tomorrow, I think. Which would
I
be
thought it
When
was
you listen
like
to this, it's out.
yeah, but it's like wow, it's really good.
It is really good. From the little bit I played of it, it is a really good mission.
I was
Like beginning prologue.
blown away by it, honestly. Like I didn't think it was going to take the directions that it was going to, and it's a really good game right now. I mean, we have yet to know because it doesn't let you go too far into the game. But wow, those beginning missions were incredible. Or mission. I don't know how they broke it up. So because it basically like you were forced through all of them. So if it was separate missions, it felt like one.
Right.
And then I had another one, which was from Destiny 1, The Taken King. Basically, I see it as realistically the whole story is just one mission. But obviously it's the story, so I didn't want to include it. But the whole Regicide, King's Fall, the Old Hunger, and then Hunger Pangs is this incredible, like, small story. I mean, it's huge, but the smaller story within it is how Oryx will always live forever. And the reason is because after Regicide, you kill his physical form and he goes back to his throne world. Then in his throne world, you kill his throne world like ethereal form. And then you go to Eris Morn and you finish the Old Hunger. which is going back into the throne world and officially ending him technically. And then you do Hunger Pangs, which is the quest line where you get the Touch of Malice. And the Touch of Malice is Oryx. If you read like the little lore pages that come with it and like pay attention to the little things that happen here and there and like small short audio cues that you really have to pay attention to. It's all about how Oryx, and then they eventually write about it in the uh I forget what they call it.
The Grimoire book?
Yes, the Grimoire book.
How could you forget about the
And
Grimoire?
it was this really cool story of Oryx becoming like an almighty power in the universe. Like he's
goated.
destroyed, like completely annihilated planets, civilizations, species, you name it. He's gone through millions of them at this point. Um and then finally he starts writing about us. And he kind of leaves it up to, if I am not, because they live by the sword logic, which is basically the more powerful you are, uh or if you constantly fight in battle and you're the victor, then you are the race that is meant to win, in a sense, or the species that is meant to win in our eyes. But to him, he saw it as like races of things.
Yeah, the Taken King, I think, is like what definitely kind of brought Destiny back a bit, like from its grave. Not like from its grave, but kind of, not. I shouldn't say that. It kind of like redeemed it a little bit, because it was a very good DLC.
Yeah.
So, agreed wholeheartedly. And it helps kind of lead into Destiny 2 as well. Like in terms of like, hey, this is what it could be, you know. So
Yeah, they definitely like, I don't know what they did, but they dropped Taken King and they were like, we're
we're gonna kinda do
releasing an
this from now
insanely
on.
good story, and
Yeah.
it just drove it from there.
Exactly. Yeah. Good honorables, Colin. And to move on to mine, I didn't really have much of a preface for mine, especially since a lot of them were kind of already talked about. But my number 3 honorable is one that Colin talked about earlier, which was the "Would You Kindly" revelation from Bioshock 1. Not to really go too much more into detail with it because we already did. But when I think of like game plot twists, that's definitely up there, if not like the number one. Most surprising too, and especially since that was like around the time when I just started to kind of play single player games instead of like only Call of Duty and stuff. So it was like a nice like kind of entryway into that, if that makes sense. My second one is the Bundem mission from Far Cry 3, as Zach brought up too. Um, it was between that and the mission where Voss kind of gives you this speech like on the side of the cliff, like the definition of insanity one, but that was a little too basic for me. But just the Bundem is just a lot of fun, I think, and just getting to hear Skrillex in the game too, which is, back then was really good. So love that mission. Wish I could replay it. But then my last one is kind of like, I don't know if it's like a surprising one or not, because I've given a lot of flack to this game, but I couldn't find the name of the mission either anywhere, which is weird. But it's a mission from Cyberpunk, and it's the mission where you are like in like the Joy Toy place, and I forget like Clouds. That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go into the clouds of like the Joy Toy place, and for no other reason than just like that conversation that you have like with the Joy Toy, where you're just like laying in the bed and she's like in your head, so she's like just dissecting like your fears and stuff, as the character. I really really loved it. And it was weird playing with headphones on, because it was basically just ASMR being talked to, so like it had like a like that like effects that I think like really like immersed me in it. um as much flack as Cyberpunk gets, like the story is its strongest part, and it's a very good one. It's unfortunate everything else is not, but
Failed.
yeah, but like that speech, like that conversation that kind of goes on, one, you can interact with it, So you have like your safe word if you want to just be done, which we all choose samurai. If you don't choose samurai, you're fake. Um, but like I don't know, you can interpret that like conversation I think in so many different ways, like not even in the game but just in real life as well. And I think it was just one of the best parts, and I think it was used for some of the commercials and advertisements and stuff. So I don't know. I really like it. I think I like dissected V a bit more. Into just like instead of just some character you play as that just wants to be the best. So that's why I put it as my number one honorable. So to move on to Zachary, what are yours?
So my one is from they're not in really any specific order. When you fight General Sao in Sly, the first
Okay.
half, like when you're zipping across all the bamboo shoots,
Mm-hmm.
I really love that. That was a really cool mission. All Gillied Up from Modern Warfare. Another kind of like same vein as Cliffhanger. Stealth has a sniping element to it. That's a really fun mission for me to go back and revisit. And then the Duckino missions from Borderlands 2,
Takino.
where you get a
Duckino.
skag and you kind of adopt it and it becomes like your pet, and then you actually have to go kill its mom. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually forgot about Takino because that's in also like the worst area of Borderlands too. It's
Yeah, it
that
sucks.
and that other place where you have to jump off the tower to look like a badass. Those two places,
Sawtooth Canyon or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
That one's not that bad.
I hate it. Like
I'm not a fan of it.
it's the flag
Not a fan.
area. You have to just raise the three flags. I don't know. I hate that one.
It's like the fact that like if you fall down anywhere in that map, you have no idea how to get back to where you want to be.
And
Yeah,
then
there's only 2 ways back.
yeah,
It takes forever to
Yeah.
run
it's
through
just a
it.
pain. So that's mainly why I don't like it. So, but yeah, I miss the Duckino missions and that little escort mission you have going on with them. So, good picks all around. And to close off the show, we have Matt. What are your honorables, bud?
Definitely the weed burning in Far Cry 3. Love playing that mission.
Mm-hmm.
The skydiving Saints Row one with power playing. I mean that mission's just amazing.
Yeah.
And the mission where in Batman Origins when you fight the electrocutioner,
Oh my god.
like you think you're gearing up for this fight, and then there's just a cutscene of Batman knocking him the fuck out. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was kind
because he
of
gets hyped up. He gets hyped
Yeah,
up like leading up to
yeah.
that. You're like, oh, he's coming. Oh, the electrocutioner. It's the electrocutioner. Just bop.
He's out. He's done.
Yeah.
I was surprised, Zach, you didn't have Origins on like your honorables at least, just because of like the Joker revelation in the game too. I know it took
I'm
you
gonna
by
be honest with you,
storm.
dude. I completely forgot about it, and now that Matt said that, it's 100% going right in the list. But I feel like that's more of a story moment rather than like a mission.
That's fair.
And I like tried to stay away from like story moments because like there's no playable
that's
part. Like I don't remember the gameplay leading up to it. I just remember the story.
That's
mission. So
fair.
if we do a
think
top
I'm-
5 like story moments, then yeah, for sure it'd be there. But
I think is another honorable just because it's I don't know, I didn't know if I wanted to like include it as a quest / mission, but in Zombies the moon Easter egg, which realistically is just a
Yuck.
quest, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that Easter egg.
But ending Matt's honorables means that this episode of Top 5 is over. So we want to thank everyone for listening to our podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to leave a like, rating, subscribe. If you're not on YouTube and you can't subscribe, what you could do instead is share our podcast either on social media, on those little fancy Instagram and Snapchat stories, send it to your friends. Do whatever you want, just get our numbers up. We're looking at rookie numbers. We're trying to pump those up. So anything you could do, be fantastic. And also we appreciate everyone who has reached out to us. One of my coworkers at work listened to one of our episodes. I know Zach and Colin, I think Matt as well, have gotten messages from old high school friends and other people saying that they're enjoying the show. So we appreciate it. We hope you keep listening. But yeah. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. Have a great one.
thanks, guys. We'll see you.